Yesterday, a very popular YouTuber named Penguinz0 posted an absolute bombshell of a video accusing YouTube of some awful things and explained the whole situation that led to the claims, and he does not hold back. The gloves were off and the chef's hat was on because he just started cooking their ass. Now, of course, it's not unusual for a YouTuber to make a video criticizing the platform. It happens every day because YouTube is a company that very, very rarely gets anything right, so it's constantly catching more shit than a Walmart toilet, and rightfully so. But even with hourly uploads of everything wrong with YouTube, the problems that Penguinz0 highlights are some that I haven't ever really even seen discussed before. The video's titled YouTube Racism and Favoritism, and it was actually the #1 trending video all day yesterday, and right now it's the #2, which means this is the front page of YouTube. This is the #1 video on YouTube, so I bet they're thrilled about that. Penguinz0 has over 14 million subscribers, so this is a video that carries a lot of weight.
You guys either play favorites, you are racist, or it's a mix of the two. These are the three options, YouTube.
It's a pretty aggressive intro, but he is rightfully upset about unfair treatment he's been experiencing. So, after going through what he's gone through, he believes that there's only really 3 possible conclusions to draw from it, where it's either YouTube policy team playing favorites, members of the policy team being racist, or some combination of the two. Now, before getting into the specifics of the situation, I'd like to say I think most people have been aware of favoritism on YouTube for quite a while. You know, it's not exactly like the Krabby Patty secret formula. It's not hush hush. I think everyone has recognized that there is some level of favoritism on the platform. I mean, there's even that viral video from a few years ago where the CEO of YouTube said to Juice WRLD that they need to pump his numbers up, which indicates artificial growth. It means that they have at least some capability of boosting channels, whether that's through the algorithm and pushing it to more people, or just inflating it themselves for channels they deem worthwhile and good for business, and the inverse is likely true where they can hide channels they think are problematic and bad for business. So favoritism is something that people have been loosely aware of for a long time, and also when it comes to, mainstream media sources, like late night show hosts have much more leeway than an average YouTuber. They can say and do a lot of things that get normal YouTubers demonetized or age restricted or straight up striked. And that doesn't apply to the big boys in the scene. So favoritism is something I think most people know exists on YouTube. That's not like a conspiracy theory. However, the claims that Corey is about to make against the YouTube policy team in regards to racism are pretty interesting.
August 18th, I uploaded The Mortuary Assistant. A lot of you would know it got age restricted. I saw that all these other YouTubers were playing The Mortuary Assistant and only my video seemed to be age restricted. So I appealed the restriction. Hey guys, I'm not sure why mine got age restricted. Could you look into this? Appeal rejected.
This isn't the whole situation, it's just the beginning. I already want to talk about something in particular though, the appeal system. Corey mentions that after appealing, he was denied, rejected pretty quickly. That's the norm. I can count on one hand the amount of times I've ever even heard about an appeal being overturned. That just never happens. The only time an appeal doesn't lead to rejection is when you make a trending hashtag about it on Twitter. You make a big hoopla on Twitter and then YouTube will go to your appeal and, make it in your favor. But if you don't do that, if you don't stir up a shitstorm and start throwing sand in YouTube's face on Twitter, they won't bother. I'm very confident that there is no human being in the review process for appeals. In fact, I would wager my anal virginity that there is no human being that looks at appeals. And if I'm wrong, then I fully invite the YouTube policy head to come raw dog me. I am so fucking confident that there is no human being that looks at those appeals because they always, almost always, end in rejection and standing with the initial decision, even when it's blatantly wrong. The algorithm makes mistakes. But the appeal is supposed to bring a human being into the equation to look at it, investigate the case, and decide whether or not it was an algorithmic error or a correct enforcement. And there are times where it was just outright incorrect, just outright wrong, and they will still stand with that decision. So I just don't think the appeal system works. That needs a drastic overhaul ASAP.
Only my video got age restricted. My YouTube rep, who isn't on the policy team, he looked at my video and he said, hey, it could possibly be this part at the end about it. So I looked at that part. The first thing I did was try to find other YouTubers who had that part, or at least a part similar. So I go to Markiplier's Mortuary Assistant Part 3, and he had the same situation going on, and his video wasn't age restricted.
Corey explains that after the appeal was rejected, he talked to his YouTube rep who speculated as to why they decided to enforce the age restriction, and he highlighted a potential problem with the ending of the game that was in his video. So Corey then went to other videos to try and find that exact same part, and he found it in one of Markiplier's videos, which wasn't age restricted yet had the exact same content that Corey's did. So he was left confused. Why is Markiplier's video okay, but his isn't? Now I want to immediately squash the argument I know a few people will make that Cory Kenshin might not be as advertiser friendly as Markiplier, which is why Markiplier is being favored by YouTube here. That just doesn't work, because Markiplier still says bad words. He'll say fuck and shit and damn, you know, he'll squeeze in some naughty words. Cory Kenshin is squeaky clean. He doesn't say any naughty words. He even censors bad words in the games that he plays in the videos. He is the more advertiser-friendly creator. So it's not just YouTube playing favorites for whoever's more advertiser and brand friendly. It's not the case, because if it was, Cory would be the winner there. So it definitely has to be something else at play for why they demonetized Cory and not Mark. Now, if you've been around my channel for a while, you might remember I went through an almost identical situation a couple years ago. I made a video on a fake road rage incident and got an entire strike for it from YouTube, a policy guidelines strike from YouTube for it. And I found that exact same clip that I was talking about in one of Markiplier's videos that wasn't age restricted, demonetized, or anything. I was so angry, I was wiggling in rage. I was so upset, I couldn't sit still in my chair, so I made this video talking about it, and then I made a big stink on Twitter. And Markiplier actually came to my rescue, like a fucking hero of justice, a symbol, like Batman. He came in and said, fair is fair, where is my strike, YouTube? And YouTube responded, not by getting rid of my strike, but by striking Markiplier's video as well. So now both of us ended up with a strike, and Markiplier made a video talking about that, and eventually YouTube decided to rescind both strikes, saying that it was an overreaction to things and it was a mistake on their part. But obviously you can see the problem here. They're not enforcing their rules equally across the platform, and they're just not enforcing them properly at all. There was no reason that video should have ever resulted in a strike by any stretch of imagination. I can understand the algorithm having a bit of a oopsie, a little boo-boo there, and mistaking a fake comical road rage for a real incident, but the appeal process is supposed to come in there where a human being looks at it and within 3 seconds should be like, oh, this is clearly a joke. But that never happened because I don't believe humans actually review the content. I'm getting sidetracked. Point is, the rules aren't enforced appropriately or equally. So a kind of similar situation, but not exactly the same as what Corey's been going through with YouTube here. However, I do find it interesting that Markiplier is present in both of these cases. I feel so bad for Markiplier. He's done nothing wrong. He just keeps getting dragged into these disputes here with YouTube.
So I send a video to my YouTube rep. I say, hey, Markiplier has this situation in his video, but his isn't age restricted. Could you send that to the policy team and see what they say about that? They came back and they removed my age restriction. They took it off. After they already rejected my appeal. I expected them to triple down and give Markiplier an age restriction too. But they looked at Mark's video and they used that to verify my innocence.
After being confronted with evidence, the policy team folds and gets rid of the age restriction on Corey's video, but he decides to press forward by trying to get an explanation for why it was okay for Markiplier and not okay for him. Why isn't it the same ruling, and why is it only now, after being confronted, that they decide to get rid of the age restriction after already denying his appeal?
So I send my YouTube rep a lengthy email detailing my feelings about the entire situation. So my YouTube rep assures me he's going to continue this dialogue with the policy team. So another day, another 2 days go by, and what do you know? They re-age restricted the video. They re-age restricted the video. I say, no way did they do that. I go to Markiplier's video now, and now his video is age restricted.
Yeah, it's pure pandemonium and chaos at the YouTube policy headquarters now. They re-age restricted Corey's video and then slapped Markiplier with an age restriction as well. So they panicked, clearly. After being confronted and after Corey's email as well as the phone call he had with the YouTube rep, they obviously caught wind of what was happening. Corey Kenshin was wondering why he was being unfairly treated by the YouTube policy team. No one else got age restrictions, it was just him. So he pressed further, pressed harder, and the policy team reacted by bringing back the age restriction to him and Markiplier. So it's like, hey, no, look, everything's good now. Now everything's even, right? We enforce this equally across the creators, so we're good here, right? No, obviously. Corey is rightfully upset. He was treated unfairly. And since YouTube is so unbelievably shit at giving clear answers to anything, Corey can only speculate as to what happened here. And he draws the potential conclusion that maybe someone or some members of the YouTube policy team are racist. Maybe they targeted Corey because of the color of his skin. And it's not a far-fetched thing to think either. In fact, Ludwig, when he interviewed Susan, and Ludwig also made a Mogul Mail talking about this exact video I'm talking about and brought up some great points, the strongest one being is there are human beings on that policy team, and there are sometimes biases with members of those teams. You know, they're human beings, and some of them are going to have biases. And there is the potential that someone there is sexist or racist. And Ludwig brings up good points about that. For example, his girlfriend's podcast gets demonetized way more than his does. And so he brings that up. Susan, the CEO, denies that it's a possibility, but it is a real possibility. And Corey is absolutely right in thinking that it could be a real possibility that someone on that policy team that has the decision-making power might be racist. Why was Corey the only one getting age restricted? And Corey also brings up another great point, which is every time Corey comes back, Corey takes hiatuses in between his content creation. Sometimes he'll be gone for like 4 or 5 months. And he'll come back and explode. He'll get #1 trending like every single day for 3 weeks straight. And then every time, like clockwork, he's hit with some kind of YouTube controversy. Last time it was getting a strike due to something from like a 4-year-old video, a 3-year-old video or something like that out of nowhere. And it's only when Corey comes back and starts getting popular again do they do something like this with age restriction or a strike or something like that. But in the breaks he takes, like the 5 months, the 9 months that he's not on YouTube, he never has problems. They don't strike anything. They don't, age restrict anything. It's only when he's back being popular that this kind of issue arises. And it's always over nothing. Like I said, Corey is probably one of the most advertiser brand-friendly content creators there is in the gaming space. He doesn't say bad words or anything bad. He even censors that kind of shit in the content of his video, like from the games he plays. So he goes the extra mile to be as brand-friendly and advertiser-friendly and family-friendly as you can be. So it can't be an issue of him just being, too hardcore for YouTube to support. That's just not the case. It has to be something else. Something maybe going wrong with the algorithm or potentially actual racism at the YouTube policy team. It's not impossible. Of course, there's no concrete evidence that there's any racists on the policy team, but since YouTube can't communicate these decisions, all you can do is guess as to the reason why things happen. Why was Corey the only one getting age restricted? We don't know. His YouTube representative doesn't fully know. The only ones that do are the policy team, and they don't communicate. So all you can do is take your best guess. So yeah, I just wanted to talk about this situation, and that's about it. So yeah. Stop everything you're doing right now. I don't care how important it is. I have news that'll blow it out of the water. And trust me, you're going to want to get this sitting down. So if you're in the operating room watching this, it's time to put down the scalpel and pay attention. YouTube has just made a massive change to the platform, and in standard YouTube fashion has done a horrible job at communicating it to the community. So it's up to me, Ace Reporter Charles here, to tackle this topic from the front lines, just riding through like Paul Revere, lighting the lanterns, letting you all know that another awful set of changes are coming to YouTube that have already overnight tanked some creators' source of income from their channels, demonetized like half of their videos with no explanation, and more channels are soon to follow as this continues to roll out. And I'll let it be known right away here that yes, my channel has been hit extremely hard by this new shadow policy that they've slid into the equation here. The policy is, if you say any swear word or anything less than proper in the first 8 seconds of a video, you instantly get demonetized for it no matter what. There is no wiggle room. If you say anything that's not squeaky clean Weenie Hut Jr. and you let that rip in the first 8 to 15 seconds of that video, well, you're just getting blasted, and there's nothing you can do about it. Now, to a lot of you, hearing that's probably not surprising because the previous policy that all YouTubers were playing ball with was the first 30 seconds you couldn't say fuck. You couldn't say anything super hard like fuck. Because if you did, you'd likely get demonetized. But now, it applies to the first 8 seconds, and all profanity is being treated equally, except for a couple of exceptions like hell and damn, I guess. Maybe even ass. You might be able to squeeze a little ass in there in the beginning, I suppose, if the YouTube Illuminati is feeling generous with their policy enforcement that day. Now, while that's all pretty clear about just not using any profanity whatsoever in the first 8 seconds, it gets a little muddy when it starts talking about a focal usage of profanity throughout the video. It says such as a mention in every sentence, but that's not exactly how they enforce it. For a lot of the videos that have been demonetized, at least on my side, it's not like I'm going around hitting them with like Saints Row dialogue. It's just very confusing what's actually triggering this new demonetization wave that's sweeping through like a plague. For example, RT Game, again, isn't exactly a creator known for like intense swearing and getting out of control and unhinged and saying profanity in every sentence like this policy here. And yet, so many of his videos just got demonetized. And he's also not someone that does a whole lot of cursing and swearing like a sailor in the first like minute of his videos either. So it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. It's not as clear as these rules seem to think that it is. Also, this rule applies retroactively to every piece of content ever made, even as far back as like 2007. So like half of my catalog of videos is now demonetized. This happened to a ton of creators, and because it's a new policy, yet every old video ever made now has to play by those rules, so it ended up with so much being demonetized. But it's very vague when it comes to the enforcement here. Let me give you just 2 quick examples from 2 new videos I made. Both of these were monetized as of 12 hours ago. So this first one is just called Good News. It is legitimately just going over very wholesome topics. The focal point is not on swearing, it's not a potty mouth kind of video. It's just going over wholesome topics. But in the intro, I said shit pretty early. This week's been pretty doom and gloom with a lot of awful shit coming to light all across the internet. So me saying shit here is clearly what triggered the demonetization flag. Okay, a little upsetting, but they've now made these rules clear and they're retroactive, so I get it. But here's an example of one that makes no sense at all by their new rules. This is me talking about Godslap Issue 2 being out. Don't worry, I'm here now. I know for the last few months you've been cold and afraid, the uncertainty eating away at you, wondering what comes next. Well, I'm here to show you what comes next. It's issue 2 of Godslap, baby. I probably don't need to explain what Godslap is, you already know. It's our comic book series that's become more popular than the Bible. There's no profanity at all, not even low-level profanity. I don't mention ass or butt or anything like that at all. I'm just talking about Godslap and getting excited. It's a comic book series we've worked on for a long time, and I made this video just going over everything and letting you all know that it's available at godslapbook.com. This wasn't supposed to be an ad for it, but it's a great example here because there is no profanity used throughout this video until 5 minutes and 37 seconds into it after giving a plot summary for issue 1. Surrounding Sal, finishing them off with more finger flicks which blow their fucking head off. They share a brief conversation. So then what could have possibly triggered this demonetization? Is it using profanity at all that's going to result in demonetization? Because that'd be very concerning if so. The best guess I can muster is they must have been really upset about the animation because we had an animation made for issue 2 and it's a pretty gory animation. So it comes in at around a minute into the video and there is some animated gore and violence, but that's a minute into it. And again, that's not the focus of it. And I wouldn't think anyone would be like disturbed or shocked by the content. It's not anything that's, egregious or over the top. It's just violence in a comic book and animated format. So would that really now result in demonetization for any channel that has anything that's even close to this level of violence? Because that's really strict. Like what you see there is something you'd find in like any M-rated or even T-rated game sometimes. Like it's not that extreme. Like I don't see why that would warrant being demonetized, but it is a bit scary because this has all happened overnight with no explanation. And it's not just bad words and things like that. This applies to so much other shit that they're now enforcing heavily. But it's not just for getting a little wacky with your language in videos that'll result in demonetization now. If you're getting a little wacky with your game choice, if you're a gaming YouTuber, you can get demonetized for it, even age restricted in some cases. If you're playing a game that's kind of violent, you're very likely to get demonetized for it. And if there's bad language in that game, especially early on in the video you make covering that game, you're likely to be demonetized for it. And in fact, Callisto Protocol is the most recent example. You can get age restricted for it too. Callisto Protocol was deemed too gory. It's too much. This is very unholy stuff we're seeing here. So anyone that made videos on Callisto Protocol got age restricted for it, including me. A couple of them I know slid under the radar, but for the most part, anything that had Callisto Protocol did get age restricted, which is almost poetic because you might remember that Callisto Protocol is inspired by Dead Space, and Dead Space 2 had the worst marketing campaign of all time called Your Mom Hates Dead Space, and it was all about how offended mothers were getting at Dead Space. It was very silly, but now it's like become reality for YouTube. YouTube is now that Dead Space mom when it comes to violent video games. It's pretty pathetic, but what's the saddest part about this whole situation is YouTube's refusal to be transparent with this and make it clear that these policy changes are coming. I had to find out, as did everyone else, after being hit by it and then doing digging, because anytime there's a policy change, YouTube treats it like a government secret, like the Krabby Patty secret formula. They just refuse to share it. So I had to learn by searching around online, talking to other creators, as well as talking directly to YouTube in order to get answers for what was going on. And even my YouTube contact wasn't aware of this until I brought it up and he did digging on his end. And that is absolutely not any fault of his own. That just goes to show you how split YouTube is internally, where things just aren't communicated effectively even on the inside. So how the fuck can they possibly manage to inform the community, I guess? It is so laughable. This policy is a game changer for a lot of channels. You have to completely alter your content strategy depending on like what you do. Like if you play like a certain game that could now be deemed a little too violent for ads. Like this is something that changes a lot for many creators. And you have to find out by going through fucking Twitter and then talking to people in whispers on Discord in order to figure out what was happening. That is so pathetic. That YouTube's repeated inability to communicate even their biggest changes to the platform just makes no sense. It just can't be that hard to put out clear documents letting people know what's around the corner and an estimated arrival date. I don't see what makes that so difficult and why they struggle so greatly with it. There was one article I found about this in early December, but of course there was no like set time frame for when this would actually launch or if it was even really going to launch for sure. Because all of those things are written so vaguely, you never really know what's going to come to the platform and what's not going to. Like, it's just so frustrating to have them constantly make these awful choices without ever consulting creators or users of the platform, obviously, but also just not telling them either. Unfortunately, it's all just another common YouTube L here. I had to unmask the Scooby-Doo villain, and per usual, it was YouTube. So if you're just now figuring this out and wondering why your channel got demonetized over the last 24 hours, I'm sorry I had to be the one to shit out this bad news onto your plate. Would have been a lot more palatable if it came from YouTube's mouth as opposed to my ass, but it is what it is. I am very, very convinced they will never actually communicate policy changes ever. At least not in any effective manner. So you'll just always have to wonder when the next big policy change is coming to fuck you in the mouth. So that's a pretty fun thing to think about when making content on YouTube. And yeah, just wanted to give everyone the little update here since YouTube didn't. That's about it. See ya. There's a problem that we need to discuss briefly, so please step into my office and close the door behind you and get a bucket out for puking. It's about to get gross. Disney, a name I'm sure you're all familiar with, it's a place of magic, adventure, and dreams. But what happens when that dream becomes a nightmare? And I'm talking about a sleep paralysis demon that's recently been paying Epcot a visit. And more specifically, Remy's Ratatouille ride at Epcot. Remy's Ratatouille has become less of a ride and more... Hello, Io. She heard Ratatouille and, sprung into action. She's a huge fan. But yeah, anyway, I don't know what it is about Remy's Ratatouille, but they are summoning the pervert devil. It's like a full-blown exorcism, but instead of dumping out ectoplasm and a haunted spirit, it's actually dumping out cum. There have been 2 separate instances of park guests going to the Remy's Ratatouille ride and exposing their penis. One of them was actually wanted for other sexual pest degeneracy crimes and was caught on Remy's Ratatouille smoking, watching porn, and masturbating, even finishing a full-blown climax and just dumped his DNA all over the Ratmobile. So he literally turned it into just a fucking cum dumpster. And then the following day, another park guest was getting trespassed outside of the Remy's Ratatouille ride. And during this situation with the park authorities, the guy just dropped trouser, exposing his penis to the public, as if he was doing a show and tell on cock. Both of these cases happened only a few weeks ago, so Lord only knows where we could be in another month if this continues, if it becomes some kind of trend. You know, maybe this is the curse of Remy's Ratatouille. Yeah, it's getting scary out there. But yeah, I thought this was so fucking weird, and I hadn't heard anyone talking about it, so I figured it's our duty here to discuss the important things that others are too afraid to tackle, such as turning Remy's Ratatouille into your personal masturbatorium and ejaculating on this ride. It's a fucking ride made for children at a Disney park. It doesn't get more degenerate than that. It's unbelievably fucking disgusting. Someone mentioned that earlier. Man caught watching porn and masturbating on a Disney ride. Forgot to look it up though. New Jersey man caught smoking and watching porn on Remy's Ratatouille adventure in Epcot. That'll get you every time. I don't even know why they bothered to include smoking. That's like the least startling news here. Robert Fitzpatrick was arrested and charged with a misdemeanor charge of exposing his sex organs. That sounded like straight out of biology class. Was there no one else on the ride? There are warrants for Fitzpatrick's arrest for sex crimes in California and New Jersey. Further details on those out-of-state charges were not included. Disney cast members were first leery of Fitzpatrick when he wanted to sit alone in a rat or ride cart on March 29th. Generally, guests share the cart with other people. It was suspicious that the guest was in the cart alone. Why though? Why would you ever want to do that? Is it the ride that brought it out of him, or just like that? It's not even like exhibitionist. It's like literally alone masturbating in a weird location. Several cast members monitoring the attraction and surveillance room saw Fitzpatrick smoke and touch himself. Twice they stopped the attraction and made a loudspeaker announcement that smoking was not permitted. They should have just called him out by name, like, Ryan, put out the stogie and put your dick back in your pants, please. Just ruin the magic for a moment. Ride continued on, and Fitzpatrick began looking at porn on his cell phone and put his hand down his pants. Fitzpatrick then pulled his penis out in the open and continued masturbating inside the ride cart. One cast member said he ejaculated before leaving the ride vehicle. Holy shit. So this is what he defiled, huh? That sick bastard. Even the rat looks concerned. On Remy's Ratatouille of all places is nothing sacred. Have some decency. Take that elsewhere. Take that to Dueling Dragons, but not Remy's Ratatouille. Please. The rat is pregnant now. I know. And they're gonna have to retire the vehicle. Or rather, they should. At that point, that it's gone through too much already. Don't subject anyone else to the horror. Like, yeah, you can clean the cum, but the cum never fully leaves. The memories last forever. Just get rid of the cart, like a jersey number. Just retire it. Should be noted that although Robert was alone inside the cart has vents open to the public and is constantly being recorded while the ride is in motion. I haven't been on Remy's Ratatouille, but is this not a ride that like turns the carts around? Because I remember in a lot of these, like, I don't know, what do they call them? Like slow movers, Weenie Hut Jr. shit, where you just like slowly go through something and look at screens. Usually they have like the carts turn and they, like, you can see other riders. Is that not the case for Remy's Ratatouille? Because I feel like at that case, there's a lot of families that got a lot more than they bargained for out of this show. It's trackless. So it does turn. I can already imagine like the parents like shielding their eyes. Oh, Jesus Christ! No, he's also got a chef in his pants and he's cooking over there. Please God. No. Oh my Lord. The following day, Disney and law enforcement dealt with a second incident at Epcot where another man was arrested for exposing himself. There's an outbreak. There's a plague sweeping through Epcot right now. Good lord. Man, Remy's Ratatouille just really gets the juices flowing. A sheriff's deputy was back at Remy's Ratatouille Adventure on March 30th, where a Disney manager reported that Sherwin Shayagan was constantly causing issues inside the park, the arrest report said. He threw items on the ground when authorities escorted him out of Epcot. Who is this? Sherwin Sharingan? I don't understand. Is this the guy who exposed himself? Waited for a taxi to take him back to his hotel, and the deputy was writing the trespass paperwork when he pulled down his clothes, exposing his penis to those present. That went from a trespassing charge right to like an actual like felony. Pulling your cock out at a Disney park. Jesus. Also been charged with exposing his sexual organs, a misdemeanor, according to circuit court records. This feels like a really light charge. Exposing yourself is one thing, but exposing yourself in a children's amusement park is a totally different thing. Aren't those two... Isn't that like a more serious charge? It's not a huge crime because Remy from Ratatouille was pulling his hair, forcing him to do it. Yeah, imagine he's just been framed. There was also a Disney employee who got fired for filming 500 plus videos under women's skirts yesterday. What is happening at Disney? Jesus Christ. What? Disney employee accused of taking videos of park guests' dresses and skirts for years is fired and arrested. Man, there is no magic left at Disney. Just terror. Authorities responded to Disney Hollywood Studios March 31st after an employee was witnessed recording an upskirt video of a female guest at the Star Wars retail store, according to an affidavit. Jorge Diaz, 26, told authorities in an interview that he had been taking videos of dresses and skirts of unknown females in Disney World theme parks for approximately 6 years. The man just openly admits it? He's like, so you finally caught me. I'm like the Zodiac killer of upskirts. I've already filmed 500 plus videos. Diaz, who worked at the lightsaber store, told authorities he had what he estimated to be over 500 videos on his phone and showed multiple examples of the videos to detectives. This guy, like, seems very proud. Like, happy he got caught. You guys finally got me. This is great news. Here, come check my camera roll. Look at these. He told the detectives he took the videos because it's hard to find them online and they bring him sexual gratification. Jesus fucking Christ, man. Holy shit. Absolute degenerate. Why is his bond only $2,500? He has been released from the Orange County Jail. You best be wearing jeans from now on when you go out around the area. This man's probably got a whole network of cameras set up for those upskirts. They were impressed by his honesty. Man, this guy is fucking evil, but he's an honest man. God damn it. I really don't know how their charges aren't more severe. Like, to expose yourself in public is already bad, and to do it at a children's theme park is much, much, much worse. Significantly worse. And then the upskirt situation, 500 plus videos, this is a serial sex pest. Like, these aren't, this isn't like some goofy thing. This is like actual crimes. Like, the charges don't sound nearly severe enough for what they have done. So I was super shocked to be reading that. Maybe that's just like preliminary charges, and as the case continues to develop, more things will be tacked onto it as they discover more and, you know, go after them harder, hopefully. But yeah, I just wanted to talk about these situations because I hadn't heard anyone discuss it really, and I thought it was fucking weird. So that's really about it. So yeah. I'm sure all of you know that Dr. Disrespect has been working on a game for quite some time right now. And that's pretty exciting until I feed you the poison here. I'm about to roofie your drink with this one. It's not just a game, it's a crypto-based game. It has a very strong NFT component to it. In fact, it seems like NFTs are the focal point of the game. That's the number one thing they've been mentioning in regards to this project. So it's a play-to-earn experience, and these buzzwords, NFT, play-to-earn, crypto, are beyond detrimental to the hype of any project in 2023. People run away faster when they hear NFT than if they had heard someone shout bomb in an airport. It is a very negative implication when that word's tossed around because it's become so synonymous with scams and people losing their money or getting deceived by NFTs in the crypto space. So people have been dunking on Dr. Disrespect for his inclusion of NFTs in the game. And there's a lot I'd like to talk about with this. So to quickly give you a brief lore recap, the game is called Dead Drop. Dr. Disrespect is spearheading the operation, and fundamentally it is a Tarkov-style shooter, as I understand it, where when you drop into the game, you can find NFTs in the world, and if you extract with those NFTs, you can then turn around and sell them on the blockchain, so you can make legitimate money through playing the game. It's a free-to-play game, and you don't have to use it as like a money-making thing, but you can. The concept is cool, but I'm sure a lot of you that have your thinking caps on may have already identified a glaring issue with the entire core idea of it. But before really diving into the meat of it, I'd like to at least say, I always appreciate and applaud creators who go into different areas and try and create bigger things and make wild content, big projects. I always think that's great. And I'll shamelessly plug real quick, speaking of creators doing bigger projects, Godslap, issue 3's out right now. Issue 3 just dropped, baby. It's available at godslapbook.com. Also, issue 1 and 2 are of course still for sale there, and we got the 2 variant covers for issue 3 as well. So issue 3's out, go get it, godslapbook.com, baby. Read the best comic ever made. So I'm happy Dr. Disrespect is making this game, and I don't think it's going to turn out to be a scam. Hopefully this statement doesn't age like festering dog shit in 2 years when the game drops or whenever. But I just can't imagine that he would blatantly scam his audience because it would be career suicide. And I just feel like there's no way he wouldn't recognize this. It really feels like he wanted to set out to create like a really unique game and experience, but overlooked a lot of obvious problems that'll come from this. So let's talk about it. He posted this tweet a couple days ago. Imagine trying to extract with an item you discovered worth $100,000 on the chain. Think about the entertainment value as a viewer, let alone player. A new PvP experience is upon us. The concept of digital collectibles in an online game is so exciting to me, especially an extraction type of game. People saying scam and are just brain-dead headline followers. Same people that spend a ton on skins for an annual release game. Same skins everyone has too. Now, let's really peel apart this onion here. You've got to be huffing a fucking unreal amount of shungite to think for even 1 second with $100,000 on the line in your game that people won't cheat. Cheating is going to be a full-time occupation. It will become a real job to cheat in his game if there are items worth up to $100,000. Even if the items only go up to like $500, it'd be stupid not to cheat. You get cheats for fucking $10 and then try and steal items off players that are worth hundreds. It's a no-brainer. And in the crypto space, this is very common with something like Axie Infinity. Axie Infinity is a play-to-earn crypto game where the more you play, the more money you can earn. And do you know what's happened? It's become an absolute goddamn fucking disgusting, yucky cesspool of cheating, exploitation. There is an entire market for people paying less than a minimum wage overseas to have workers full-time grind Axie Infinity for them so they can make money off of it through the game. And not only that, they had this big hack where they lost $600 million. I'm going to say hack in air quotes here. I'm using that term real loosey-goosey because it's a very shady situation. They just so happen to get hacked and lose $600 million in the process. So more like Haxie Infinity, am I right? And this is a game worth billions. Meanwhile, Dr. Disrespect does not have billions behind his game. So how the fuck is he going to prevent something like that from happening in his? The point is, in the play-to-earn space, there is a lot of bad actors. In fact, there aren't any normal players left really for like Axie Infinity, for example. I'm sure there's like a couple pockets, a couple of holdouts, people playing for fun, but it's very rare. It is mainly just this stinky vehicle for exploitation and making money off the play-to-earn model with as little effort as possible. It's pretty gross. So that is absolutely going to be the case in Dr. Disrespect's game, where the only people playing are going to be the ones exploiting it for money-making purposes. Dr. Disrespect seems to believe that because it's free to play, and will hopefully be fun to play, it'll incentivize players to hop in the Crucible with their boys, normal gamers like you and me, red-blooded, Gabe Newell worshiping gamers. They're going to be the ones playing my game, not these cheaters and these people looking to abuse our system. When that's just absolute wishful thinking, that is a pipe dream. You have to be Kegeling Shungite to really think that's going to be the core player base for a project like this. With a $100,000 fucking golden snitch on the line, $100,000 real world schmeckles, do you really think that Darren and the boys on the JV football squad are going to be hopping in to try and duke it out on the battleground to fight for that legitimately with honor? Absolutely not. It is going to be cheaters. And since it's an extraction type game, if the normal players happen to be the one to find the item, the cheaters are going to be the one to come around, kill them, and take the item and then extract before you ever even have a chance to fight back or do anything about it. And since it's on the blockchain, it's immutable. You can't really uncheat it. You can't funge the unfungible, goddammit. The non-fungible will stay non-funged. Like, it's a problem that you won't have a solution to. There isn't a single AAA gaming developer out there right now that has solved cheating. Every single developer has cheaters. Billions and billions of dollars go into anti-cheating and to prevent cheaters because it ruins communities and it ruins the longevity of a game. If there's a lot of cheaters, people will stop playing the game because the cheaters push them out. No one's been able to solve that issue. What chance does Dr. Disrespect Studio have of making sure no cheaters exist here? And with this kind of money on the line, can you imagine the frustration, the misery, and the unbearable sinking feeling of finding an expensive item only to have it taken from you by someone that's playing unfair? It's an experience that is going to be completely new here. He's not wrong. This will be a new PvP experience, but it's the worst possible one because you won't be able to combat cheaters. It just can't happen. People are cheating all the time in every game where it doesn't even matter. Games that don't even have like a ranking system or a leaderboard or anything, people still cheat in. Can you imagine how many people are going to cheat in a game where you're literally incentivized to do so monetarily? It's going to be nonstop. You won't have normal players because they're going to be pushed out by the bad actors that are playing the game for nefarious purposes and just greed, playing it to make that money, so they're doing everything possible to cheat and get those items to sell for money. Now let's take for example a game like Counter-Strike, where you can make like an actual full-time living through selling skins in that game. But the difference is, you're not actually earning the skins in-game. You're not competing over the same skin in a match, right? So you're not having to worry about cheaters, which there are a ton of cheaters in Counter-Strike, obviously, but they're not cheating in order to get skins through playing the game. Whereas here, the thing you're competing for is literally real-world money. So it's completely different. The way you make money in Counter-Strike is you're getting cases, you're getting keys, and you're hoping that you get good rolls on your skin, or you're doing some other shady shit under the table for skins, but you're never actually earning them in the game itself through playing against other players, whereas here, you're going head-to-head for those NFTs that are worth the money. It's a completely different landscape. And when asked why he's chosen to have it be blockchain-stored digital items as opposed to a server-side storage like CSGO, he replied saying that he likes the idea of having the digital collectibles have functionality in a different game that comes out 7 years later. That is a cool idea, long-term functionality of the things that you've collected, albeit it is a little unrealistic to assume that whatever you collect in Dead Drop right now will somehow still be able to be implemented in future projects without knowing what those projects are. The developers are going to have to program those things in. It's not just going to be able to slide over. Like, let's say you collect a gun in Dead Drop 2, or in Dead Drop, but the next game they make is a fucking hack-and-slash folk rhythm game. How the fuck is that gun that you've collected in Dead Drop going to somehow make its way into that game? They need to program it, right? That's a lot of development heavy lifting to implement 7-year-old items into a modern game that they're working on that there's really no crossover and probably no actual usage for. But it is a cool idea, and let's say they do decide that it's worth that time investment. This is an idea that can completely work without the blockchain entirely. We'll use Counter-Strike as another easy example. If I wanted my CSGO skins to translate over to CSGO 2 that comes out 7 years from now or whatever, they can deem it worth it to program a way of having those skins be in CSGO 2. it would just take development effort, just like it would in the NFT example. Like the blockchain just provides the receipts to verify who owns what, but you can verify that outside of the blockchain too. You'd verify my CSGO skins right now for CSGO 2, be like, okay, he owns this, this, and this, and here's what we've done to program them into CSGO 2. Like, you don't need it to be NFTs. It can exist without it. Overall, I don't think this game is a designed scam. This isn't Dr. Disrespect trying to fuck his audience or anything. I really think he wanted to create something special and very ambitious. And he liked the idea, as most people would, of being able to play a game and make a living through playing that game. Like, who doesn't love that as a concept? But all of this assumes that everyone's going to be playing fair, and when it comes to money, when you're putting monetary value on the hours you play that game and the items you find, people are going to take the easiest path to get that money. And it'd be stupid not to, honestly, with $100,000 on the line for some of these items, apparently. Everyone is going to be trying to cheat to get those items. No one's going to be trying to play legitimately to obtain that level of wealth. And I don't blame them for wanting to cheat for that. That's a life-changing amount of money in this game. But yeah, anyway, I just wanted to talk about this a little bit because it's clearly a huge issue with the project entirely. And I haven't seen a great explanation for how they plan on combating the cheating that would come from all of this. So it seems like an impossible task to ensure no cheaters exist in a game like this. But anyway, that's really about it. See ya. I'm not the tallest man in the world. I'm far from the smartest man in the world. I'm not the most athletic man in the world. But you know what I am? A Walmart shopper. For a long time, I've always sung the praises of Walmart. If you tallied up every store I've ever visited, Walmart would be number one by an overwhelmingly large margin. I've spent more time at Walmart than I have in my own house, probably. Everything I've ever needed or wanted, I'd always immediately resort to Walmart to find it. It was like this repository of everything humanity's ever created for a really good price. I'd get things from Yu-Gi-Oh cards to groceries to a little freeze beam wart remover, which never got cold enough to actually freeze off the wart. It was like putting an ice cube on the wart, so it never actually solved any problems, but I didn't blame Walmart for it. They just put it on the shelves, and I was the stupid idiot that trusted it would work. That's not on them, that's on me. The point I'm making is I've always been a loyal Walmart enthusiast. I've always felt a special bond between myself and that location. So you can imagine my sense of betrayal when I learn that right now they're peddling bootleg versions of my merch. A dagger to my heart to see my beloved Walmart housing such evilness. Now, of course, this isn't a serious situation by any means. It's pretty goofy. I just wanted to talk about it a bit because I found it pretty interesting. I'm not surprised that knockoff versions of YouTuber merch exist. That's been something that's been around since the dawn of time. On like Etsy, Redbubble, AliExpress, like every single site where you can pretty much upload whatever you want. But what was surprising is that it was on Walmart, because for me, I thought there was like a vetting protocol for Walmart, because you always hear about how like big it is when something gets into a Walmart, like the process of getting there. Like when pink sauce ended up on the Walmart shelves, that had me and everyone else going, goodness gracious, how is such a thing possible? And then they always talk about like the year-long battle with Walmart to convince them to put it in the stores and shit like that. So I've just always had this impression that getting into Walmart is no easy task at all, with a lot of hurdles you have to overcome. But then my very understanding of how it works was shaken when I saw that bootleg moist merch is already there. Now, I don't think it's in physical locations or anything like that. I haven't seen any physical evidence that it exists there. I think it's only on their website, which I guess is a whole different kind of beast that I was just blind to. Ignorance is bliss, and I was living in a fantasy world where the Walmart website was just an extension of the Walmart store catalog. But I guess that's not the case. It seems like you can go on there and pretty much put up anything for sale, no matter what or who you are. I guess all you have to do is click a captcha saying I'm not a robot, and then you can immediately start selling shit through Walmart. I really don't understand exactly how it works, but I just want to show you what's going on at the moment. Also, one thing I've learned from all this is that since all of it's on Walmart's website, and that's such a powerhouse of a company, it's actually the first thing that comes up when you search for my merch. Google prioritizes the Walmart version over my official website, moistglobal.com. So when you look for like Moist Global merch, Moist Esports merch, Moist merch, whatever, the very first thing that comes up, like buy it now, is all of the Walmart knockoff versions of it. So I have to compete with the guy who's like hot pressing this in his fucking living room and using a Sharpie to write Moist on some shit and claiming that it's mine. It's actually beating out my actual site because it's on Walmart. This is kind of interesting, actually. Walmart is selling knockoff Moist Global merch. At least I think it's knockoff. I think it's third-party produced Moist Global merch. So that's on Walmart's site right now. So they've got a knockoff Moist hoodie and Moist Esports hoodie. I'm pretty sure they're not actually from us, because there's a couple things that are way fucking off about it. For example, these are completely different, and the coloration is also super washed out here. Same with this. So I'm assuming what they've done is they've taken the Moist Global designs and offloaded it to some complete podunk stinky facility to churn out like cardboard versions of it and sell for $30 on Walmart. The paperback goes hard, yeah. Moist paperback, you know, Eva C. Mark, well within her rights, Godspeed to her, as well as all of this Purina Moist and Meaty, Godspeed to them. But this asshole, hold on. What was his name again? It's one person doing it. The seller is literally just random characters. It's not even a real person's like brand or name, and it's only knockoff merch that they're selling through Walmart. Does anyone know how Walmart works? Can you just put anything up there? Just like this giant cum dumpster of whatever? Walmart online is like Amazon online. Okay. Best Buy used to have the same thing, marketplace like Amazon for lots of stuff not sold in stores. I thought you still had to be a verified seller to sell through Best Buy, for instance. Is that not the case for Walmart? You can just fire this shit up as Bubba Long Johnson and just put up anything? Thanks to the resub Hunter and Ostiago. That's news to me. I thought you still had to be a verified seller. So this actually comes up when you look for Moist Esports or Moist Global merch. Well, the Walmart SEO on, yeah, that's what it is, right? SEO on Google is so high. I guess if they have any kind of product related to what you're searching, it'll be on top. That's a little unfortunate then if it's actually above our actual site. No, this isn't a resell, it's a knockoff. So it's not the same thing. Plus, another thing, all of ours has little water droplets in the back. Every single one of them. It's part of the brand. So it's just the cheapest thing they could make and then slap on something comparable. I also imagine this will feel like sandpaper on your skin. It'll be like a little acid touching you. So the Walmart results show up first before Moist Global for everyone. You're first on Bing. I can't believe Bing even still functions. That's news to me. Who's surprised it's Walmart? Well, I'm surprised because I thought you had to be a verified seller to sell through their site. That's all. That's why it caught me off guard. I didn't know you could sell bootleg merch, which is the whole brand here, or the whole account here. It's a random assortment of characters that just sells knockoff merch. So, for example, Takeoff Migos merch airplane hoodies, Juice World, Tyler the Creator, Aaron Carter, Harry Styles, even Cyberpunk Edge Runner. They took all of that. So I'm guessing this is probably a small company that has some access to a facility where they can just print on demand and bootleg knock off all of this, like all of these brands and people. Oh, I'm sure there's ways of reporting it. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying it's like hopeless. Like, holy fuck, we're finished. We're gonna be run out of business by SLZZBBB44451. Fucking Star Wars droid. Like, I'm sure you can probably have, like, some kind of form to submit that they have to take the shit down. I'm just saying that this was a pretty shocking thing to learn. I may not be at a fine dining establishment right now, but I'm still serving up a large glass of wine. I just have to complain and rant about something in this video that's just been grinding my gears for quite some time now, because the problem still exists, and it's not getting any better in the industry. So stand back, you're about to enter the splash zone. I'm about to get real passionate, which means I'm gonna start spitting. How can it possibly be that 2023 years after the death of Christ, we are still releasing games with a dogshit PC port? How are we not learning from past mistakes, from previous sins of our fathers, from the countless other awful PC ports that have ruined games? Why is this still not only a problem, but actually getting worse? It makes no sense. This is actually a SpongeBob, how many times we have to teach you this lesson, old man moment. It'll be no surprise what prompted this video. It was the Star Wars Jedi Survivor game. I'm sure all of you have read the headlines and seen the reviews about how awful the performance is on pretty much every platform, but most notably PC. Unforgivably bad on PC for most people. Now, I'm currently playing it on PC, and not only was installing it an unbelievable headache because we've entered the age where no one gives a fuck about actual optimization at all. So it was a 128 gigabyte download, and then after that was finished, I got fucking slapped double-fisted with the 129 gigabytes of unpacking that needed to come after the 128 gigabyte download. For that fucking file size, I felt like I was downloading another human being onto my computer. Shit had me installing an entire new solar system onto my SSD. I feel bad for anyone, like my heart is breaking for anyone that doesn't have like top-of-the-line internet, because this probably still isn't even done downloading for you on PC right now. You probably still have another week or two on that, baby. You gotta let that shit cook, because it is rough. They don't bother compressing things anymore, I guess, and they just let it take up as much space as possible, as if it's some kind of like achievement if they take up like fucking 140 gigabytes or whatever. It's ridiculous. But that's not even the big point here. So on PC and pretty much everywhere else, you will probably not be getting 60 frames per second. And I know, oh, entitled gamers wanting 60 frames, oh, that's so goofy. Well, bah humbug to you as well, Ebenezer Scrooge. If you're paying $70, this is a $70 game, if you're paying $70 and not even getting the bare minimum of performance, then you are a cuck if you're trying to defend that. When you're paying that kind of money, you should be getting high quality product for it. But there is not a single report I have read from anyone that is able to maintain a consistent 60 frames per second with this title, no matter what you're running. You could be running the state-of-the-art quantum computational technology, absolute, $100,000 hardware, 4090s out the fucking wazoo, and you will still not be getting 60 frames per second in this game consistently. Mudahar recently made a video going over it. I'm sure you've all seen all the articles. Most people are getting between 40 and 50 FPS, no matter what they're running. And for a lot of people's machines, seeing 40 FPS is like finding a shiny Pokemon. Getting 40 FPS for some people's machines is a fucking accomplishment in and of itself, deserving of a trophy and a pat on the ass. It is ridiculous. A lot of people are getting 30 FPS. It's just in a terrible state. And one other thing that I should mention with Jedi Survivor, though it doesn't apply to every bad PC port, but it certainly does for this game, is that it uses Denuvo DRM. I'm sure you've all at least heard of Denuvo before. It's become the boogeyman of DRM because it has been shown to make game performance worse. To what extent and exactly how big of an effect it has on performance is always a bit of a toss-up and a case-by-case basis on the game itself, but it does have a proven negative effect on the performance of a game. The reason companies use Denuvo is because they're all so fearful of piracy that they take the nuclear option and choose Denuvo to try and protect it, though even in those cases the games still end up getting cracked and people still pirate them. It just takes them a little longer, which I guess for the company execs might be worth it, but you sacrifice the actual performance of your game for your paying customers in order to give yourself like an extra week of no piracy. But what ends up happening, and I'm getting a little sidetracked here because this is a little off the path that I wanted to talk about with just bad PC ports in general, but Denuvo in particular, what ends up happening is when a game has this and a normal person buys the game, like me, I buy the game, I'm subject to that Denuvo DRM, and that makes my game's performance worse, whereas the people who pirate the game that are taking a week before it comes out, or 2 weeks, whatever, they now get that game without Denuvo, thus their performance is actually better than the paying customers. That's ridiculous. That's so fucking ass backwards, it's laughable. It's almost poetic. In their delusional attempts to combat piracy, they end up encouraging it by offering pirates a better product, if you pirate the game, than paying customers. It's so wild. And in Jedi Survivor's case, it's even more lunacy because the de novo, the DRM, all of it is so extreme that if you try and load this game on what it deems is too many computers, it'll shut you out from even playing the game. Look at this screenshot here. There have been players reporting that because of de novo, they've been locked out of the game because it thinks that they're playing it on multiple computers. Thus, it's like, combating piracy. When that's not even what's happening. It's out of control. It's totally out of control. But back to just general PC ports being terrible and like a trend of this going on, it's still unforgivable to even be getting 40 and 50 FPS in this day and age and paying full price for the game, which has become kind of the trend in the industry, which is so weird, and why I'm talking about it, because this isn't like some rare exception. This isn't some unicorn where like, oh man, somehow they fucked up a PC port. How could they have done that? No, this is like super normal. Right now, we live in the time period where it's push it out and we'll fix it later. Just ship it and we'll fix it somewhere down the line and that should be fine. Which is trash. That's horrible business practice. And what's even sadder is the amount of brainwashed drone zombies that defend this and actually attack people that call it out, saying that they're just entitled gamers. How can you be demanding this from developers to get it right off rip, to get it perfect when they ship it? This is silly. You're being a bunch of goobers. Obviously, they're going to fix this game at some point. They treat it like it's a fucking NFT investment or something. Like, oh, it's gonna be great at some point. And yeah, maybe sometimes it does get fixed, most notably Callisto Protocol. That shipped in the worst state I've ever seen for a PC port. It was borderline unplayable with how fucking bad that was, but they fixed it shortly thereafter. But I don't think that's really excusable. I'm glad they did the right thing and made it work, made it functional, but it shouldn't have ever shipped that way. It's not like they didn't know these problems existed. It's not like this all of a sudden came out of nowhere, like, oh my god, there was a fucking ghost in the machine and it corrupted everything right when it launched. No, they would have been aware of it, but they still decided to ship it anyway in that state just to meet the deadline. I'm glad it got fixed, but it doesn't change any of the damage done to the initial buyers here, and it ruined the reputation of that game forever, completely fucking tarnished it, wiped their ass with it. And right now that's happening with Star Wars Jedi Survivor. A game, when it launches, should be in a good state. Bugs, of course, are always going to be there. I never really hold bugs against a company too harsh unless they're obviously game-breaking and like maybe there's an incredible amount of them. But I understand bugs are always going to be present. There are just some things that you can't always get in QA testing. But just performance problems like never getting 60 FPS, constant stuttering, those kind of things, they're there when the game's about to ship. Now, like I said, I want to make this clear. I'm currently playing through Jedi Survivor. I am not experiencing most of the problems that the majority of PC users are with the title. I'm not getting a crazy amount of stuttering. It's definitely there. It is prevalent, but it's not like game ruining or anything like that. And I know I'm not getting 60 FPS. I think I'm more in that 45, 50 FPS ballpark, but I don't really feel like putting up the FPS counter to double check. I just know it's not 60. It's pretty clear. And I'm okay with that playing throughout the game, but I'm not happy that I was charged $70 for a game that can't even reach like the absolute baseline of performance in 2023. I'm enjoying the game because I think the gameplay is good and I'm enjoying the story so far, but I am extremely disappointed in the performance of it. I would obviously like if this game was hitting 60, it would be better. But I'm not having the worst time with it because I've been lucky enough to not experience most of what other PC players are. So I just wanted to get that out there real quick. But anyway, Jedi Survivor developers, they put out a statement today on Twitter, and I want to kind of go over that as well real quick. We are aware Star Wars Jedi Survivor isn't performing to our standards for a percentage of our PC players, in particular those with high-end machines or certain specific configurations. Within the first sentence here, just a full poopy diaper on display. It's not a percentage of PC players, it's all of them, whether it's high-end machine or not. Also, it's not performing up to the standards that you'd expect in 2023 for consoles either. Console performance isn't amazing, it's just PC performance is worse. So that's where most of the conversation has been focused, is on PC. But the entire game itself is so fucking poorly optimized and not great performance. While there's no single comprehensive solution for PC performance, the team has been working on these fixes we believe will improve performance across a spectrum of configurations. We're committed to fixing these issues as soon as possible, but each patch requires significant testing to ensure we don't introduce new problems. Thanks for understanding and apologies to any of our players experiencing these issues. We will continue to monitor performance across all platforms and share update timing as soon as it is available. Star Wars Jedi team. So this is baloney. We're looking at an actual load of horseradish here. These aren't problems that were brand new once the game shipped. they would have been aware of these. But because of the higher ups at the company, I imagine suffocating, fucking strangling them like Bart Simpson's neck, making sure that they're going to be on time for the deadline, they forced the game to come out as scheduled, as slated, which didn't give them the optimal time to refine the performance problems. Thus, now they're going to have to play catch up and be eating shit publicly for this in the meantime. And even after they fix it, they will still eat shit for releasing a game that was poorly optimized with terrible performance. It's just a lose-lose. Like, the only benefit here is to the higher-ups at their bottom line, like, look at all these day one sales. But then there's going to be a drastic drop-off because of all the negative press, because everyone's talking about how fucking awful the game is because of the performance. No one's talking about the game being good right now. And the game is good. I'm having a great time with it. The gameplay is fucking fantastic. Like, I actually think I'm enjoying the gameplay more than in Fallen Order. But no one's talking about that because everyone's focused on how awful the game performs. That takes precedent over a good game. If you release a game that is shittily made, right? If it doesn't run well, that's all people are going to focus on. For obvious reason. I will just never understand this speed run to get games out no matter the cost. Come hell or high water, this game's going out there even if we left in all kinds of game breaking problems. Who gives a fuck as long as it's out there in the wild? That's what matters. It's dumb. You would stand to gain far more from a good PC port and a well optimized game. I can't wrap my head around it. I understand that there's so much bureaucracy to it now that maybe it's just totally out of the hands of the developers and really just in the hands of the suits that force it. So there's only so much they can do. I really do think that's probably a large part of it. It's not like the developers want to release a game that they know is in a bad state because they're the ones that catch the most flack for it. I mean, that's just the way it is. So I'm sure they don't like it either. It's just such a shame that this keeps happening with good games. It is very rare to have a good PC port these days, which is crazy to me. I feel like we should have learned from the past, where when you have a good PC port, everybody wins. You get more customers, it has a long life now on the PC as well. Everyone wins when you make a good PC port to a game. I just don't understand why it continues to be an issue. Fucking Last of Us, the PC port they released, is a joke. It just continues to happen. Why? I really don't understand why there is not any amount of care given to these PC performances for their games, when there is really only upsides to it. I just wanted to rant about this because obviously I play most of my games on PC. I do still console game occasionally, but it's pretty rare. Almost everything now I do is on PC. So it just always hurts to have such a shitty experience for these good games because they didn't bother to put any amount of polish on the PC port. So I just wanted to rant about that, and that's about it. See ya. Good afternoon. I bet the majority of you watching this can't even tell that I have a tummy ache right now, but I'm being very brave about it. I'm going to push through, and I want this to serve as a lesson to all of you that you can't tell what someone is going through just by taking a glance at them. Don't judge a book by its cover. There's two topics that I'd like to discuss today, so let's dive right into the first one, which has become a very big discussion across the internet, which is in regards to piracy. I like to think I've been very vocal about my stance on piracy. I don't think there's any questions on where my loyalties lie when it comes to this subject, but I'll repeat them again, screaming from the mountaintop. I, with my hand on a stack of Bibles, subscribe to the belief that Gabe In preached. Piracy is a service problem. Not only that, but the quest to defeat the boogeyman known as piracy also leads more people to it. So introducing harsh DRM that tanks performance or makes a game function worse will inevitably lead more people to go to the pirated version because it is a better version of it because it runs better without the DRM that you've introduced to try and fight it. So you're creating more of a piracy problem by trying to solve it. I also just truly believe that if you just focus on making a good product or service, you should never put even an iota of thought into how to beat piracy. Yes, people are going to pirate it. They're going to find ways of circumventing shit no matter what it is. But there will be far more people that legitimately purchase it to support that good product or service and that effort that you made to not ruin it with DRM or fighting against piracy and making things an inconvenient headache. To put your titties where my mouth is, I am well aware that our comic book series Godslap has tons of re-uploads of our entire comic series accessible for free right now. And you know what we're doing to stop it? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. In fact, we've made it easier by offering a digital version of our comics. For those that don't know, I have a comic book series called Godslap and another one called Plague Seeker. We offer a digital version of it. That makes it extremely easy to just take that digital version and re-upload it for free across the internet. And Zoinks, Scoob, would you believe it, it actually was extremely helpful in growing the comic series. There are so many people out there that wanted to check it out but didn't want to pay $5 for a digital version, didn't want to buy a physical copy. They just wanted to see if it was any good, because who knows, it might have sucked shit through a crazy straw. It might not have been worth the money, so they wanted to check it out, and it was uploaded for free. So there were a lot of people that read it for free and then eventually bought a physical copy once they got invested into the world. I have so many emails like that from people, and that's great. I'm happy that people are checking it out. Even the ones that check it out and don't like it, hey, at least you gave it a try, right? There is really nothing that we lost by having the comic series uploaded for free out everywhere. It's only been helpful. Now, that's not going to be the case for everything, and I totally recognize that. But I really believe all of these efforts made by, like, shutting down emulators, which is what we're about to talk about in detail when it comes to Nintendo, and all of these other, like, DRM efforts and all kinds of anti-piracy measures do nothing but make more people want to pirate it, because you're now ruining the official means of getting these products and making it far more easy, convenient, and complete actually owning the product through piracy. So you're making it a more appealing option for them. So you're creating more problems than you're solving in the first place. I don't want to just regurgitate the same things I said in my last video about this topic. I'm not trying to just Ouroboros my own ass and eat the shit out of it with the same talking points over and over. Basically, last time I was touching on this subject, it was about streaming services being such a massive, expensive headache nowadays where you don't actually own anything anymore and they're constantly censoring episodes or taking things off of their platforms. You have to go on this giant fucking scavenger hunt like you're hunting down the Dragon Balls in order to find, like, the shows or the movies you want. So when you pirate them, it's much easier, it's much quicker, it's a lot less expensive, obviously, and it's just a more convenient service these days, which is why piracy's been blowing up again. Not that I'm advocating for it, of course. You can't come after me for that, Viacom. What I want to focus on with this one isn't so much that, but more so the debate that's breaking out now about emulators, because the global anti-fun police known as Nintendo, the international authority of kicking sand in the face of anyone that's enjoying their products, has decided to launch an attack on a very popular emulator that I'm pretty confident a lot of you are familiar with, called Yuzu. And Nintendo threw the kitchen sink at them. They laid the Super Mario smackdown upon them. Hulkmania went wild, and it was a little concerning for the future of other emulators. RIP to Yuzu. I'm not going to bother going through the particulars of the case. I'll just give you the bare bones gist of it. Nintendo hit them for giving people the tools and information regarding piracy, giving people the ability to pirate Nintendo property. And basically it all just tied into Yuzu and piracy going hand in hand like peanut butter and jelly. Now, let's not get caught in the delusional genjutsu here. Let's just be honest with ourselves. Everyone knows this when it comes to emulators. Anyone that uses an emulator knows that you can get games for free that you don't actually own officially. Not everyone's going to be the person that's dumping the BIOS and all the information out there from their legitimately purchased copy or anything. You can eventually just download it yourself for free and play it through these emulators. But I don't think that means you need to shut everything down in regards to emulators, because they are an invaluable tool when it comes to the preservation of games that otherwise would be lost to time. I am a huge proponent of emulators, and I have been since early high school. In fact, a lot of my early videos are all made through emulators. Mudahar recently made a video covering this topic, and I agree with his take in that when you own something, a piece of hardware, you should be able to do whatever the fuck you want with it. As long as it's not affecting other people and, like, making other people's experience of it negative, it shouldn't matter. So if you legally purchase Tears of the Kingdom for your Switch, but you actually want it to go on your Steam Deck because it's a better console, then you should be able to just, go through the process of getting it to the Steam Deck through the emulators and all the other things that I'm not going to go into detail about because I don't know how Nintendo is going to be responding to all of these things. But there are ways to do it, and I think you should be allowed to. It's not really an ethical dilemma since you own the product legally, you have paid for it. Why not be able to have the freedom and flexibility to take it from its native platform, the Switch, and put it on like the Steam Deck or put it on your computer where you can enjoy it far more. And the games are far better there as well. Like they just are. The Switch fucking sucks as a console. It's archaic. So while Nintendo is correct that there is a lot of piracy when it comes to this emulator sphere, it doesn't mean that it needs to be viewed as like this ultimate villain that needs to be defeated, because it offers a lot of good too. Because without emulators, there are so many games that would just be lost to time, especially from Sony, which is something Mutahar also points out. There are so many games that I have played that only exist through being able to be played on emulators that I can't get in an official capacity anymore. So if you're not selling the product anymore and there's no way to have access to it, what is the harm in playing it through an emulator? It's completely victimless crime here. Again, I fully understand that it's not exclusive to just people playing abandonware that you don't get anymore. These old treasures that are, fucking buried under sand and you can only play them through an emulator. I know a lot of people pirate modern games, like Tears of the Kingdom people were playing early because it ended up leaking and you were able to play it through the emulator like a week or two before it officially came out. I get that that's a problem. I 100% understand that. But by taking down and putting your crosshair on emulators themselves, I really just think it's misguided. There are bad actors that are going to use these type of tools for nefarious purposes, of course, and that is an ethical problem. But for me, if I'm playing something through an emulator, I own the real copy of it. At least in every case that isn't a game that no longer fucking exists, which is quite a few of the old PlayStation 2 games that I used to make videos on back in the day. But if I'm playing a more modern game through an emulator, I own that copy in the real world. And since I own that copy, I really feel like I should be able to do whatever the fuck I want with that, because it is mine. Now, I know we live in that age where you don't own anything and you have to be happy about it, but I think that is garbage. I think it's a load of trash, a bunch of hooey. It is yours. You should be able to do whatever the fuck you want as long as it's not hurting other people or ruining someone else's experience. If you're like cheating in a video game, hacking in a multiplayer lobby, things like that, then it just shouldn't be an issue to take what you have purchased and make it work on an emulator and play it where you want to play it. I just don't see why that would ever be a contentious point. I get that Yuzu made a mistake in offering these tutorials on how to circumvent Nintendo's protective measures and things like that. And I know Nintendo's still very sore about Tears of the Kingdom leaking and being downloaded like 1,000,000 times and played through Yuzu before release. I get that. That to me is more of a Nintendo problem. That Yuzu doesn't really have anything to do with that. That game leaked before it came out. It was then put onto Yuzu, which didn't immediately play it. It had to be patched from community members to make it work through Yuzu. That is not something you can really blame Yuzu for, in my opinion. But point is, I do understand that when it comes to emulators, there is the piracy concern. But I really don't think that the necessary measure here is to shut the emulator down. They are tools, very, very important tools when it comes to video game preservation. And let's just be honest, important tools when it comes to enjoying Switch games in a better capacity than the Switch itself offers. This console sucks. I am so tired of it. Every game plays like it's 2006 again, whereas you pop these puppies in an emulator and you can really enjoy it in a nice, smooth, crisp experience. So yeah, I just wanted to talk about this emulator discussion here because a lot of people are fearful that Nintendo might be emboldened here and start going after other Switch emulators, and that could lead to this big cascade where all kinds of emulators are now getting targeted from all kinds of different places. I don't know if I necessarily think that's going to happen. I think this might be an isolated incident because Yuzu was so big and they did like directly give people the instructions on how they could pirate games and circumvent these measures. So this might just be like a one and done thing, hopefully. But yeah, I just wanted to talk about the whole piracy debate as a whole and kind of how I feel about all of it. That's really about it. So yeah. For too long I've buried my head in the sand, plugging my ears, pretending nothing's wrong. But it's time to finally rise and hit you with the cock meat surprise. It's a subject a lot of people have asked me to weigh in on, and I just haven't really bothered until now. Jacksepticeye recently made a video talking about it, and it's something that I feel I should also talk about as well since it's so highly requested. It has to deal with a problem that YouTube's been facing for about a year now, and I expected it to be resolved by now, but it's showing no signs of improving or getting better, so might as well address it since a lot of people have also noticed it. And it has to deal with the comment section. The YouTube comment section is inflicted with the scarlet rot. It is just being fucking poisoned by bots and spammers. When you think of hopeless misery, you probably immediately picture Twitter. But then right above that, you have the YouTube comment section. For a really long time, it's had a very negative reputation, and for good reason. YouTube comment section is where basic reasoning goes to die, for the most part. And depending on where you end up on YouTube, you can find some of the most outrageous shit imaginable with hundreds of updates supporting it, and then like a full 500 reply thread on it. I remember a long time ago, it must have been like almost 2 years ago now, I was watching a flat earth rap video, and the top comment was someone talking about how they had a nightmare that an octopus inked them, and it somehow like helped them achieve enlightenment, like this blissful nirvana, and they were able to see like interdimensional celebrity demons or something, and they went on with this like crazy fanfic, and it had tons of updates, and then all of the replies were like, oh my god, I had the same dream, we're somehow connected, and it's like, what the fuck is going on? I'm getting carried away. Point is, the YouTube comment section has always, for like the entire history of YouTube, been a weird and wacky wasteland. However, it has never been as bad as it currently is, because now it is completely infested with bots and spammers, and I'm sure you've seen them. If you leave a comment on any YouTube video, including this one, I guarantee it, if you leave any comment, all of the replies, and you'll get somewhere between like 2 and 10 replies, and all of them are bots saying the same shit in different ways. The big ones are, this guy's content is garbage, I'm making straight bangers on my channel, click here. And sometimes the bots are sophisticated enough to somehow slip a link past the link block. So they'll sometimes just drop a link to something, whether it's a YouTube video or a website, be like, this video is super sucky, this is a stinker-rooney on the highest level, look at this link, this video is amazing, or I just found this guy's chat logs on this website, click here to look at it, I've been crying all day after reading it. And if you make the mistake of clicking on any of these channels or clicking these links, you'll find that on the channels there's no videos. So I imagine it's maybe to grab your IP or something fucking weird, I don't know, but most of the time there's not even a single video there. And if you make the mistake of clicking a link, you're absolutely going right to a fucking phishing scam. And if it's a link to a YouTube video, you're absolutely going to a really fucking sketchy YouTube video with 009 soundscape blasting in some kind of Windows Movie Maker tutorial. Like, it's the weirdest shit. It's like the bots are somehow stuck in 2009, and yet they are still spamming the comment section on every single comment. They're replying to all of them, and almost immediately too, which is why a lot of people don't comment anymore, because you can't really have a discussion since it's taken up with the bots. No sane person wants to leave a comment on a YouTube video and get 50 notifications just having their fucking phone blow up, vibrating like it's a perpetual Amber Alert, all with notifications that McButtmaster42 has replied to your comment 10 times saying the same shit like, hey, I'm making heaters over here, stop by. So obviously most people don't want to comment anymore because of this. So it ruins whatever discussion may have taken place. Contrary to popular belief, I, and many others, do at least peruse the comments from time to time, especially on things like the Moist Meter, because I like to hear what other people are saying about the same movie or same game that I experienced, because I like it. I like to engage in that kind of discussion, which is why I like streaming on Twitch so much, because I get to real time go back and forth with actual human beings. But on YouTube, humanity is extinct in the comment section, overrun by the machines. It's full-blown Skynet. If Skynet was run by actual fucking imbeciles. It's straight up dog shit. It's blatantly obvious bots. And when it's not just the same copy and pasted shit, what they're doing is they'll have like a picture of some girl's fat fucking titties, like some big honking milkers, and it'll say like, tap here for sex with me, and then they'll copy and paste whatever the top comment is that looks like it was made by someone with a pulse. So for example, on one of my Elden Ring videos, if the top comment was, wow, Charlie might be the most talented gamer of all time, he truly has achieved Turbo Super Gamer Barbarian status, then the tap sex for me, tap me for sex, fucking tap here for sex with me, those channels with like big ass out, like goat seeing themselves in the profile picture, what they'll do is they'll copy and paste that comment as their own so that way it doesn't look like they're a bot, hoping that someone will read that comment, think it was a real person that made it, and then click on their channel and get scammed. Because you're not having sex with that person, it's just a bot, but it's pretty smart in that it's copy and pasting a comment from a real person and trying to make it like their own. So it's such a fucking war zone of garbage in the comment section, all fought by non-humans, just actual robots. So it is ruining the comment section. It genuinely is, and it has been for like a full year now. And it's not just like the sexual scams like MILFs are looking for you, click here to watch me spread my pussy and say your name. More than just that, even aside from that, there's one that is bigger, a much more prevalent comment ruining trend. And it comes from verified channels, actual YouTube channels, real fucking verified checkmark channels, and they're all leaving the same copy and pasted note on every single channel. And I'm sure you've seen it, and you will see it under this one, and it goes something like this. We can all agree that this YouTuber never disappoints us with their content. And it usually has like a lot of, thumbs up, the updates off the charts, because it seems like a positive statement. And it's coming from a verified channel, so people that are human beings are most likely just clicking the up dude on that, and they'll say like, oh yeah, that was sweet, agreed, super sweet, this YouTuber's amazing. But what it is that verified channel is just pasting that on every single channel they can find. It is, again, a bot. They're not manually doing it. I am certain that they're using a bot or some kind of script to paste that on every channel that they can find that has like any following whatsoever, in the hopes that when people see that, they're like, oh, this verified YouTuber is also a fan of my favorite YouTuber. Let me check out their content. They're being really supportive. Let's see what they're about. So they're hoping they'll leech a couple of people from the comment section by pretending like they care about what they watched. Even though they didn't watch it, they're not being supportive. It's just more copy and paste. It's all so similar, but they do change it up occasionally. For example, this verified YouTuber has left this exact comment on my videos for the last couple months. I tell ya, he must really love the consistency and quality of my content. And I love the consistency and quality of his comments too. Very insightful. He's very much into it, I can tell. So like I said, it's a ton of variations, but they're all saying the same shit, and it's copy and pasted everywhere on the platform. We can all agree legendary creators like this make our days. We can all come to an agreement here that fucking epic YouTubers like this make our dicks rock fucking hard, baby. Make sure to click my channel. I'm verified. Check it out. Don't forget. It's disgusting. It's shameless. And I can't imagine it even works, because when you go to their channels, and I have made the mistake of checking it out, they only get like maybe 10 views on the videos. Like I don't want to give any of the channels away here because they're looking for attention, obviously. But one of them had like 500,000 subs, and all of their videos had less than 200 views. So either this YouTuber fell off harder than Simba's dad in The Lion King, or it's a bot. Fake. And their subscribers are not humans. They just paid for it, and they're all bots. Not a legitimate account. Now, there's really nothing to do as the YouTuber here to combat this phenomenon happening in the comment section. You can set like blocks on certain phrases, words, links, and all that, but they somehow always find a way to get around it. Just like Jacksepticeye mentioned, they'll change certain phrases, they'll change a couple of things, and somehow it just slips on by again. There's just no way to really stop it. It'd have to come from YouTube's end to verify whether or not the account posted in the comment is a legitimate account or a bot. And I don't have like the real solution here. I don't have the answers. I just wanted to talk about the problem. There is no solution at the moment, but I would love if the comment section could actually be going back to human beings discussing things and human beings embarrassing themselves instead of robots doing it and trying to scam each other. So yeah, I just wanted to talk about this since Jacksepticeye brought it up, and a lot of people have noticed it in my comment section as well and have been asking me about it to do something. There's not a whole lot I can do. This would have to come from YouTube's end as a platform-wide change in how they identify what are and are not bots. That's like the only way to stop it, and I don't know if that's coming anytime soon. I don't even know how they'd do it if they tried, but I just wanted to at least bring it to your attention and let you all know that yes, I see what's going on too, and I'm also not happy about it. So yeah, that's about it. See ya. Yeah, I'm not going to sugarcoat this. What you're about to see is going to make you upset. But I'm showing you this for your own good. For too long, you've lived in ignorance, burying your head in the sand, hiding in shadows, trying to avert your eyes from the truth. And now it's my job to drag you kicking and screaming into the light. OnlyFans. All of us have heard of it. This platform has blown up significantly over the last 2 years. It's become like the peanut butter and jelly of porn. Every single person has tried to make an OnlyFans at this point. But I don't think many people, myself included, realized how much money the top creators on OnlyFans are pulling in. Recently, Amaranth and Belle Delphine posted their OnlyFans earnings, and they are fucking shocking. Just look at this. Amaranth has pulled in 33.7 mil in total. Amaranth made more than the newest Matt Damon movie. And this was released worldwide. She's making on average $1.5 million a month. That's more than most professional athletes. People are spending money on Amaranth's OnlyFans like it's microtransactions in Diablo Immortal. This is like the Pokemon Go of porn. She's making so much money, and she doesn't do like fully nude photos or anything either. She basically posts shit that you see people post freely on Instagram, but she puts it behind a paywall. It's genius. I've said this for like 2 years now since OnlyFans blew up. It is the smartest hustle anyone can do because most of the top percent on OnlyFans don't even do like actual porn or nudity. It's fucking nuts. I think Amaranth only ever posted one fully topless picture and made $500,000 off that single picture. Just one photo of her titties made more money than the majority of people will ever see in their entire lives. Imagine if she did that once a week. Like one picture every week of her bare honkers, she'd probably outsell lottery tickets. And Belle Delphine's not far behind her. Her melons are also working overtime here, bringing in fat stacks of cash. She made right around $30 million here. This was a screenshot she posted in her most recent music video. And this one's actually a more thorough breakdown of where it comes from. So we can really analyze this. Clearly the bulk of it comes from subscriptions, 22.8 million just from subs. But then in second place at almost 7 million is messages. And then deeply in last place is tips at 240k. That was actually shocking to me. I assumed tips would be like the least lucrative, just because, you know, not many people are going to come around and just toss money into the piggy bank here for free and get nothing in return. But I still thought there'd be a lot more kind, gentle sirs that would just be donating to Milady for the sake of it. So that was actually really surprising to me that it's that far behind the rest. Now I want to briefly talk about messages there. So on OnlyFans, you can set it up so that way if people want to message you, they have to pay for it. Obviously a great way of farming a parasocial relationship and getting as much juice for the squeeze as you can from it. So with Belle Delphine here, we can see she's made like $6.9 million off of that, which is really fucking smart. So every message that someone is sending to her, they are putting money behind it. It's just like leaving behind a note, do you like me, circle yes or no, with a $200 attached to it. And I imagine like 98% of these messages go unanswered, so you just toss money at the void here, hoping to hear back. And then I imagine there's people that'll double, triple, even quadruple message, and all the while paying for each one. Like going to a payphone, but only ever getting the ringtone, if that payphone costs a lot more money. It's super smart, and I'm pretty sure that's how it works with messages that you can pay for. I think you can set it up so every single message is like paid, not just the first one, though I'm not 100% sure. Either way, it's a massive moneymaker, clearly, and I really was blown away by these numbers. I knew OnlyFans creators at the top level were making a lot, but I didn't know it was 8 figures. I thought we were talking like mid 7 figures or something like that, but no, this is huge. And OnlyFans has only really blown up over the last 2 years. So this is like 15 mil a year between the two of them here. Hats off to them. And also I want to say I never understand why people get mad at like Amaranth or Belle Delphine for doing OnlyFans, or really any woman for that matter. It's extremely smart. And like I said, the majority of them don't even do like nudity. They're basically just posting Instagram pictures, but people pay for them. It's like free money. It's an actual infinite money cheat code. I don't understand why people shame them for it. This is just a classic example of don't hate the player, hate the game. There's clearly tons of dudes out there willing to pay top dollar for shit most people get for free. And there's no reason not to hose them down for those doubloons. Like, again, they're not even really doing nudity or anything. They're just posting, like, shit you see all over Twitter for free, but behind a paywall and getting rewarded for it. I don't know what there is to get upset at them for. You can be mad at the dudes paying for it, I guess, if you want to, but I don't think it's healthy to be mad at them either. Like, why not just make your own OnlyFans? That's the perspective I had when I made my secret feet OnlyFans. I talked about this last year. I went incognito mode. I went undercover on OnlyFans and made a completely isolated OnlyFans, not associated with me at all, and it focused on my feet. So I posted pictures of my feet as well as a couple videos and hoped to get a following and see how like difficult it is to actually go from zero to top 1% of OnlyFans. So I'd promote it on like Twitter occasionally, and after about 8 or 9 months, I had 0 followers, 0 subscribers, whatever, nothing. Literally nothing. Radio silence, crickets. My feet OnlyFans was a colossal disaster, so much so that I'm never gonna say the name of it because I'm so ashamed. I'm so embarrassed. If it got really popular, I wouldn't have shut the fuck up about it. I would have been rubbing it in people's faces like, I told you my feet were cool, I knew I could do it, and then also make a point like, yeah, you can actually grow an OnlyFans pretty easily. But that wasn't the lesson I learned. I learned that my feet are probably ugly, and it's not easy to grow an OnlyFans without already being established online somewhere. So, I got a little lost in the sauce there. The point is, I have nothing but respect for the grind. Clearly it's paying off. Also, one OnlyFans creator dwarfs their earnings by a lot. Danielle Bergoli, Bad Baby. She has made $50 million on OnlyFans. The day she turned 18, she started an OnlyFans and made $50 million. That is so, well, A, creepy for the people that were like literally counting down the minutes till midnight for her to turn 18 and subscribe to her OnlyFans. And B, fucking wild how much money there is on the OnlyFans platform for people. That's so nuts. That is actual insanity. I really do wonder how much the #1 male earning OnlyFans creator is pulling in, because I have to imagine it's nowhere near these numbers. It's probably not even in the same ballpark. Dude's probably made like $80 on it. Like, I have no idea, because I feel like 99% of every user on OnlyFans are guys who went there specifically to sign up to one person's OnlyFans that they found on Twitter. Like, if you go to pretty much any comment thread on Twitter, could be about anything, like, hey, good news, just published my newest book, and then the comments will be like, yeah, but I just published this new shit on OnlyFans. Like, any profile you click on Twitter is going to have a link to their OnlyFans, and I feel like the majority of users on OnlyFans are these people, these desperate people that found them through Twitter or whatever, and just followed them to OnlyFans and signed up, and then are like desperately paying to toss messages at them or get their attention somehow. Like, I don't think there's a massive organic audience that goes like through a bunch of different OnlyFans. I feel like they go there specifically for individuals that they've found online or have already followed in the past. I don't think there's a massive market on OnlyFans for male creators. At least I don't think so. I'm just talking out of my ass here because I have no data to back it up. I haven't seen any male OnlyFans creators post these kinds of screenshots to talk about their earnings. I obviously know some of them do well for themselves. Like, I know Tyga has his own OnlyFans that actually does decently for itself. But even there, I don't know how much that's making compared to these. It's definitely significantly less, if I had to guess. Yeah, I just wanted to talk about this because I found the topic super interesting, because this is just pulling back the curtain on something I think a lot of us wanted to know, which is how much the OnlyFans top level are pulling in. And it's way, way more than I thought, and probably most of you watching expected as well. So yeah, that's really about it. See ya. I don't know you personally, but I do know something about you. I know that you know there is a big problem afoot. There has been an issue that has been spiraling out of control. It's out of hand, out of this world, out of mana. It's outrageous is what it is. And much like the question on my medical sign-in sheets that asks if I'm pregnant, it's gone unchecked. I'm talking about YouTube comment bots. And it's not just exclusive to YouTube, but it has, over the last month or so, become almost unusable to go into the comments section on any video on the platform because of bots. Mutahar just made a video covering this, and it really sparked a passion deep inside my soul that made me want to speak on it more publicly. Typically, I've only addressed it loosely in streams, and the reason is I don't like to talk about this issue because talking about it makes it worse. It only emboldens bots even further to become more of a nuisance. They're a swarm of locusts that have truly infected the platform in the biggest possible way. And I am confident every single one of you watching this knows exactly what I'm talking about. We're gonna really get into the nitty-gritty here, into the weeds deep, to talk about this whole issue. It's not something that just started a month ago. This has been a problem on YouTube and really any social media platform for years. There is a report that Mutahar also covers that posits that over 50% of the internet is now controlled by bots. The content that you're consuming, the people you're interacting with aren't actually people. They're not flesh, blood. They're fucking binary and cringe. And thanks to things like the rise of AI, it's only becoming more prevalent, and thus it leads us to the current climate of YouTube, where anytime you go to any comment section and leave a comment, you will immediately get replies from like 5 or 6 bots saying the most heinous shit imaginable. A good chunk of them will just spam racist shit. I don't really understand why. Someone has paid money to have these bots just comment on videos saying racist sentences. I don't know what there is to gain from that, but it's really, really popular on YouTube for some really lonely, miserable weirdos with their shit-stained diapers in the dark to put money into that resource. And then the other half of the bots are ones that are promoting nefarious shit. Once again, referring to Mudahar's video, you'll find this exact comment plastered on pretty much any video on the platform that has over 1,000 comments, unless the creator's already manually gone through and deleted these and banned the accounts. And it's always from different accounts, but the accounts are always something similar that talk about being a pedophile. And the comments always say pretty much this exact sentence. Their CP videos are more entertaining than this slop. Check the link in the channel to watch them. Mudahar went to that channel in particular, and there is a Discord link that claims that you can watch the CP videos by clicking that link. That is illegal. They are promoting illegal content through YouTube. That is so fucking disgusting. And the fact that these accounts are able to do that without YouTube having some kind of automation to shut it down is shocking. And there's a few different versions of that. Some of them talk about you can click their channel to watch them do things to animals or other absolutely vile, evil acts. And this has become so common that it's left many viewers wondering why YouTubers themselves aren't doing more to stop it. I've seen a couple posts on Reddit saying things, like, heavens to Betsy, why isn't Charlie doing anything to stop the bots in his comments? He's not swooping in and breaking their arms like Batman protecting Gotham. Does he not care that the comments are going to shit? Well, of course I care. No one likes to see their comment section end up in this kind of state. Especially not when it's promoting awful, awful things. Like, nobody wants that. I use all of the automated tools YouTube offers to try and put the kibosh on this garbage here. Most YouTubers do. But sometimes it's just not enough because it's so easy to make a ton of bots. Even going through manually and deleting each and every comment from bots, you'll still have more bots that could show up later because it's like a Hydra. You cut off one head and fucking 5 take its place. It's a tough battle. It's like me competing in a tall person contest. It's a losing battle. Like, no matter how much I try to use YouTube's tools to stop this automatically, a lot of the time, it still just slips through. Now, this isn't every channel on the platform that has this problem. Like, one channel that I've never really seen have any bots in the comment section of is The Spiffing Brit. And I don't know how he does it. He has tons of comments, he's a huge channel, and somehow he doesn't have a bot issue. Like, I don't know what he's done or what deal with the devil he signed to keep his comment section fucking squeaky clean of that virus, but hats off to him, because it is extremely impressive. I've tried banning phrases, banning the accounts, obviously, but that doesn't matter because they just make new accounts within a fucking second. They just snap their finger and 1,000 more spawn. So I really don't know what else there's to do. I feel like that anime side character who watches the protagonist like march on and he monologues in his head like, he's on a different level. I've just trained my whole life to get stronger, and yet this guy, he's already 10,000 times stronger than me without even training. How does he do it? Like, it's one of those things where, like, I truly don't know how he's able to stop all of the bots. I don't know if he's hired, like, a full-time comment specialist, like a hall monitor to be in there day and night in the trenches, boots on the ground, manually smiting each bot that pops up. I really don't know how he does it. But there are a couple more channels like his that don't have that issue. But the vast majority of channels on the platform that end up with like 1,000 or more comments on their videos do have this bot pandemic. And it's not new. Like I said, bots have been a problem on YouTube for a long time, but they've evolved into the worst possible form, which is what they are right now. Bots used to be like, this is Bob. Paste Bob on 1,000 more videos and you'll get great luck. Your crush is going to come up to you and kiss you on the cheek and you're going to win the lottery and mom and dad are going to get back together. Just make sure to paste Bob. And it's like a fucking ASCII art stick person waving. Like, that used to be the bot and the bots and the spam from back in the day. Then it became like promoting porn, where you'd have like nude model profile pictures that just auto generate a comment and then say like, click here for my spicy stuff. Love this YouTuber. And if you want to see more of me, click this, and it links you to like porn. Then it became what it currently is, where it's actually just illegal stuff. Illegal stuff and like the worst, most vile things you could ever imagine being put into a comment section. It is a cesspool. It is fucking swampy. And I know it's not just exclusive to YouTube, but it is extremely bad on this platform. I don't have the answers to it, like I don't know the solution or the fix. Maybe if some of the other YouTubers that have somehow cracked the code on how to stop it, maybe they'll come out with like some kind of special tutorial for it, releasing the Krabby Patty secret formula on beating the bots. But until then, I don't really know what to do about it. Maybe YouTube at some point will step in and offer more tools to stop bots, or maybe they'll do something on the back end to make it harder for the platform to be exploited by bots. I really don't know. But over the last month or so, pretty much every time I stream, I'm asked, why am I not doing more to stop the bots in the comment section? Am I even aware that there's a problem with bots on YouTube and in the comment section, ruining the comments? And the answer is yes, I obviously know there's a problem. Yes, I've been trying everything I can to stop it, but none of my attempts have been successful, clearly. And it's not just me. It's many, many other creators that are having the same issue. So I just wanted to talk about it a little bit here because Mudahar's video really motivated me to want to speak on it as well. It is an issue that does need to be addressed and hopefully sometime very soon fixed. So yeah, that's really about it. So yeah. YouTube loves ads more than P. Diddy loves baby oil. They have made so many decisions that all revolve around feeding people as many ads as possible and in many ways as possible. I'm sure all of you saw a few days ago they announced that they're officially fully rolling out the ads experience while a video is paused. So now when you pardon my phlegm, I had to go take care of business there. So now when you pause a video, you can be served an ad. They call it the pause experience. I love that nomenclature. That is so fucking silly. This is the pause experience, which is why we're serving you a Dunkin' Donuts ad. But I'm not here just to focus on YouTube's abundance of ads. I'm here to talk about its war on ad blockers. This is something that's been going on for a while now. There's been tons of mangled corpses left out in the street from this battle, and now there's been a new casualty. Me. So, I've noticed over the last few days, and I know I'm not alone, that YouTube has done a lot more to beef up its protocol against ad blockers. So, when I've been trying to watch videos on my account that is not a premium subscriber, I've been getting this notice. Video player will be blocked after one video. It looks like you may be using an ad blocker. Video playback will be blocked unless YouTube is allow listed or ad blocker is disabled. Ads allow YouTube to be used by billions worldwide. You can go ad-free with premium and creators can still get paid from your subscription. YouTube lets you get 3 free samples in there with your ad block still enabled, but they hate ad block. They hate that more than P. Diddy hates security cameras. So they give you these 3, but once you finish your rations, they shut you down. They put the kibosh on that. They give you this. Ad blockers violate YouTube's terms of service, and then it's the same bullet point list there, and then you can't watch any videos going forward unless you disable it or pay for YouTube Premium. Now, this isn't new. I remember this rolled out like a year ago as kind of a soft launch where some users experienced this, but not all users. And uBlock Origin was able to get around this no problem. Now, I wasn't using uBlock Origin. I had this happen briefly a year ago, or maybe it wasn't a year ago. Time moves so differently when you hit 30. It's like entering into a fucking black hole. Everything's all cattywampus when it comes to the perception of time. But whenever it was, months ago, I had this happen occasionally for like a day or so, just using normal ad block, and then it went away. I'm guessing that it was just an experiment and they decided just to put it back in the fucking shoebox or whatever. But now we're back at the rodeo, and this has been going on for 4 days for me. So I decided, let's see if uBlock Origin works. So I grabbed uBlock Origin, and sure enough, it gets around this no problem. But I can't help but wonder, how long will it last? Because YouTube is constantly trying new ways of feeding you ads and breaking ad blockers. Like, they clearly villainize it. It's very obvious. They're not pulling any punches. They're not trying to hide or anything. They are saying, if you use an ad blocker, it's against our terms of service. It violates it. So the fact that uBlock works is probably something they're not overly thrilled about. And I remember a few months ago, Mudahar made a video about how YouTube is experimenting with server-side ad injections. So, like, they are constantly trying to innovate in ways to blast your ass with ads. And right now, uBlock is able to put, like, a shield on your butt cheeks to stop this from happening, but will it always work with getting around YouTube's ads? I have no clue. I'm way too fucking stupid to have the answer to that question. Why are you even asking me? I struggle to remember how to do long division sometimes. Clearly, I wouldn't have the answer to this one. But I do think YouTube is probably having like an entire dedicated fish tank all focused on brainstorming how to break uBlock Origin and every other ad block to force people into either paying for YouTube Premium or allowing ads on the site. What I do know for sure is that the internet itself is unusable without an ad blocker. Period. Full stop. I'm not being exaggeratory. It is literally not possible to use the internet without an ad block. Go to any mainstream journalist website, try and read an article without an ad blocker. You will find maybe 2 sentences that are broken up by 5 ads, an auto-playing ad, a banner ad, audio ads that play in the background. You can't get any of the content on the internet anymore without an ad block. It doesn't exist. The ads are the content. Like, that is the internet now. It's fucking tragic. And YouTube is bad without an ad block because unskippable ads out the wazoo, ads that play even when you pause a video now, like, it's excessive. I know I already made a video on this topic like 6 months ago about how the internet doesn't function without an ad block anymore, but it needs to be driven home just how bad of an experience that is. It's not even an experience. At that point, the only experience you're getting is like brainwashing. It's like the ads are used as a form of hypnotism against those that traverse the cyberspace without protection. Like, if you don't have the ad block condom on, you're fucked. Like, you're walking away with the worst diseases imaginable. It's awful. It cannot be overstated how awful using the internet without an ad block is. So when it comes to YouTube in particular, it's not as easy as just like oh, okay, I guess I'll go ahead and turn off my ad block. It's not that big of a deal. It is a big deal, because then if you're trying to watch like a 10-minute video, that'll turn into like a 20-minute experience, because it'll be 10 minutes of trying to watch that video with 10 minutes of ads like slapped on top of it. That's exaggeratory. I know it's not to that extreme, but it is a much, much worse experience. And it's not like getting YouTube Premium is free or anything. That's 14 clams a month. That's an expensive subscription, especially when everything in the world is subscription-based now. Fucking subscription-based oxygen access at this point. Like, everything is subscription-based, so it's $14 on top of whatever other things you're subscribed to. It's not a low amount of money by any means at all. And YouTube without an ad block is just kind of dog shit. It really is. Nobody wants to be fed a ton of ads that they can't skip, they have no control over, and you can't escape from. You can't even pause a video and be safe from the ads. They'll come through and fucking jump scare you even on the pause screen now. So it's not like a super simple thing to just be like, I'll go ahead and allow it. One tactic I've seen used a lot when it comes to this, the spin that gets put on it occasionally, is if you use an ad block, you're taking money away from the creators. By turning your ad block off, you're supporting them, you're able to help them get more money from the content they create. And the thing is, I think the majority of creators on the platform really don't give a shit about that. I've seen most of them say like, hey, you need to have an ad block. Like, I think most creators are very well aware that a user having a positive experience while watching their content is more important than that user giving them a couple extra doubloons because they got fed 12 ads. If someone's trying to watch your video and it becomes like a headache, they're probably not going to come back. And that's much worse for the creator. So I don't think that it's necessarily the most creator positive thing in the world to turn your ad block, to watch every ad and everything like that. And I don't think there's many creators that push for that either. Now, I'm stupid, but I'm not too stupid to understand the importance of ads. It's what puts money in the pockets of YouTube. It's what allows it to exist, and it is what creators make the bulk of their revenue from. Like, I get how important ads are, but what I would do, instead of focusing on finding new ways of making intrusive ads to ruin the user experience, I would instead focus on just having everything be as user-friendly as possible. I don't think there's a single person in the world that has a problem with skippable ads. You just get a few seconds of an ad, and if it's a good ad, you might stick around and finish it and see what it's actually advertising, but a lot of people aren't interested, so they'll skip it. And having it be unskippable doesn't necessarily help the product. If someone already is tuned out, doesn't care about it, and now they're annoyed because they can't skip it, they're not going to be getting that fucking product. At least, I don't think so, and a lot of them are just going to click out of the video anyway because now it's become a chore to even get to the video. Twitch is the biggest culprit of that phenomenon, where if you're watching a stream and you get fed like 5 30-second ads in the middle of the broadcast, most people leave the stream or get up and go do something while the ads are playing. They're not even watching the ad. So your marketing push has failed. Like, I don't think it's effective to do that. I think the most effective ads are the skippable ones. If you could hook someone... Man, I'm having voice cracks and like fucking congestion here. I'm finally feeling better from COVID a little bit, but man, I still sound like I'm hitting a new puberty. But skippable ads, you can get someone's attention in a short period of time. If you have like a banger ad, or if your product's a banger, like, you can get someone to actually sit through an ad if it's entertaining and advertising something that they might be interested in. But you could always just give them the option to skip it for those that aren't interested. I don't think there's any benefit to someone that's not interested sitting through your whole ad anyway. I don't think so, and skippable ads are just the best for users. Like, it's not close. Pausing a video and getting served an ad, I don't think anyone will ever positively engage with an ad that's served that way. I can't imagine a world where someone pauses a video, gets served a Dunkin' Donuts ad, and they're like, you know what? They're right. I need to order some Dunkin' right now. Like, I imagine a lot of... I imagine a lot of people will get served an ad like that and be like, man, fuck Dunkin' Donuts. Like, it's just... I don't think these are effective ad placements in the first place. Like, I don't think it helps advertisers, and it's an overall detriment to the user experience of the platform. So, yeah, I think ad blocks are crucial to the internet in the modern age. And YouTube waging war against them and doing their best to shut that shit down, I think, is horrible. Anyway, though, that's about it. See ya.